everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jess. I hope you'll consider subscribing and make sure to say hi in the comments. If you're already subscribed, welcome back and let me know in the comments how your week is going so far. Last week I created projects that hinted at Valentine's Day. This week I'm going full-blown into Valentine's Day. Okay, let's get started. For the first project, I took a piece of box art from the Dollar Tree. This is a leftover one from Christmas. And I'm going to be creating the project on the back side of it. So I went ahead and I painted the outside and the inside of the box with one coat of the ink color chalk paint by Waverly. Next, I took 6 of these jumbo craft sticks. You can see they're a little bit larger than a normal craft stick. And the inside of my box measured to about 5 3/4 inches. And I know I've mentioned this in videos before, but the easiest way for me to cut craft sticks is to use a paper trimmer like this one. So I cut all 6 down to 5 3/4 because that's what fit inside of my box. Next, I'm going to paint the craft sticks. I'm going to paint 2 with this pink color called Ballet Slippers, and I'm going to paint 2 with the color Crimson, and those are both Waverly chalk paints, and 2 of the sticks I'm just going to leave natural. Once the paint had dried on all the craft sticks, I'm going to use some white chalk paint, and I'm just going to do a dry brushing technique all over all 6 sticks, including the natural ones. Since I already had the white chalk paint out, I decided to paint one of these foam hearts with the white chalk paint. It was kind of metallic and shiny looking, and I wanted it to have a little bit more of a matte finish, so that's why I decided to paint it with the chalk paint. To cover up the back of the box, I decided just to cut a piece of black felt the same size as the box, and I just hot glued it on. Now I'm going to start hot gluing the craft sticks into the box. So I did a red stick, a pink stick, and then a natural stick. And they almost fit perfectly the whole way across, but when I got to the last craft stick, I did have to cut just the tiniest little sliver off of the one side, but that wasn't too hard to do because the wood grain kind of runs vertical on these, so it actually is a little bit easy to cut them vertically. And then I put that in there, and you can see the background then kind of looks like a pallet or shiplap. And the box has a little hole on the top of it already. So I took one of these heart-shaped chalkboard tags that they sell at the Dollar Tree, and I just wrote 14 on it since Valentine's Day is on February 14th. I thought that was kind of cute. And I used a white paint pen from Sharpie. I probably would have preferred using a chalk marker, but I didn't have one on hand. And then to embellish the top of the box a little bit, I just added some greenery, and then I hot glued that white styrofoam heart onto the top. To finish off the box, I took 2 lengths of jute twine and tied a simple bow, and then I just glued it onto the top there. Here's a look at the final project. I forgot to mention before that those jumbo craft sticks I used for the background I actually bought at Walmart, not the Dollar Tree. They sell 2 different ones. They sell like giant craft sticks and jumbo ones. So the next project, I'm going to take one of these wooden signs from the Dollar Tree that say love. And I knew that I wanted the O to be in a different color. So I just used a pencil and I kind of sketched around where the edges of the O should be so that I kind of had a guide for when I was painting it. And then I started with the color Crimson by Waverly, and I started painting the L, the V, and the E. And I did give this 2 coats of paint. And after I had got the whole thing started, or painted, I was thinking I might paint the O in white, but then I kind of really liked the wood grain on this, so I decided to actually just keep it natural. decorate the O a little bit, I used one of these stylus tools from the Dollar Tree to create some polka dots, and it's double-ended. Each end is a different size, so I ended up using both sides to do like larger polka dots and smaller polka dots. And then once everything had dried, I used my black Sharpie paint pen just to create some stitching around the other 3 letters. And here's a look at the final love sign. In the picture I showed you at the beginning of the video, I actually have this with a wreath on a window frame that I made from the Dollar Tree. So I'll link that video where I make the window frame in the description box below. So now we'll get started on the wreath that I made too. And what's nice about this is I didn't actually glue anything onto the wreath. So it would be easy to take apart if you wanted to make something else for a different holiday. The Dollar Tree had these 2 little rose bouquets that were pretty perfect for this. They were a good size, and it was nice that they already had the greenery and everything with it. So I just tucked those into that willow wreath, and I didn't glue them in, but because the willow wreath is pretty tightly woven, so they actually stick in pretty well on their own. And then I decided to create a little puffy bow. And this ribbon I actually got on sale at Joann's, I think, after Christmas. It's just kind of like a red and white woven ribbon. And I kind of looped it over on itself a few times, and I cut notches in the center and tied it with some jute. And then I decided to back it up with a little bit of burlap ribbon. So I'm doing the same thing where I looped it on itself and I cut little notches in the side, and then I just tied it onto the back side of that bow. And after I made this one, I decided to make 2 more smaller versions of this same type of bow to tuck in between the flowers on the wreath. Love how this wreath turned out, and I think it looks really nice on the window frame with the love sign underneath it. They really go well together. So the next project, I'm going to take one of these little mini wooden crates from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to give it a really light coat of the Plaster Color by Waverly. I wasn't too worried if some of the wood showed through, because I don't mind that if it looks a little bit distressed. And then I took some of this burlap ribbon and I glued it around the center, and after I started gluing, I realized that I was using a lot of hot glue, so some of it was seeping through. You can kind of see it on the video here, but I wasn't too worried about that because I knew I wanted to layer another ribbon on top of it, so it actually worked out. But if you don't plan on layering another ribbon on top, I would just be careful how much hot glue you put on, especially if you're using burlap ribbon. So after I had the burlap glued on, I had this other little roll of ribbon on hand that I had got, I think, at Hobby Lobby on clearance for 74 cents, and it was really pretty. It has some pink and red roses on it, so I thought it was a pretty Valentine's Day ribbon. And then I just glued it right on top of the burlap, and you can see it kind of covered up those little hot glue marks that I had there, and I used a lot less glue with this ribbon than I did the first time. To create a little flower arrangement inside of this crate, so I just took some floral foam and I cut it down to fit inside of the crate, and I had some little pieces I had to kind of smash together, but you can't see that in the end anyway. I had these little bundles of greenery on hand. I think I got these at Michael's. So I clipped them off of the stems, and then I just started poking them into the floral foam, and I filled it in as best as I could. And then the places that the foam was still visible, I used a little bit of this floral moss that I did get at the Dollar Tree, and I added a little hot glue onto the top of the floral foam and just covered it up with the moss. Then I took these little foam hearts from the Dollar Tree. that have red sequins and glitter and everything on them. And I picked 3 of them out, and I kind of nestled them in between the greenery, and I thought it looked really pretty. I really like the red and the green together for Valentine's Day. So since I had layered the ribbon on the crate, I knew that the bow I created, I wanted it to look the same. So I just kind of layered a piece of that floral ribbon on top of the burlap again, but I only glued it at each end because I didn't want the hot glue to kind of make the ribbon too stiff to work with. So once I formed it into a loop, I just kind of cinched it in the center, and then I tied it off with some jute string. And this to me kind of looks like a little bow tie, and I decided not to make any tails for this bow. I decided just to hot glue it on the way it was. And here's a look at the crate. I really like how this turned out. And the ribbon itself isn't really Valentine's Day, so you could pull those hearts out after Valentine's Day and just leave this up for spring too. So for the last project, I decided to create a really quick and easy garland. They have this wire jute at the Dollar Tree, and the jute itself is not really glued onto the wire. So when you're clipping it, you need to add a little bit of hot glue on the ends. And I usually just add a little dot and wait for it to cool off a little bit, and then I kind of roll it in my fingers just to seal the ends a little bit. So I cut a piece at 12 inches, and then I folded it in half, and I pinched the center so that it would have a nice point on the end. And then I kind of rounded the other 2 ends up and twisted them in the middle, and that's how I got my heart shape. And then I forgot to film it, but I just took some red and white gingham ribbon, and I just tied a simple knot in the center and dovetailed the ends, and I glued that onto the top of the heart. So then I took 2 lengths of jute, and that's how I tied each of the wired jute hearts together. And then I added just some jute on each end of the garland, and that's how I strung it up. This came together so quickly, and it was really easy, and I think it's really cute. Here's a look at all of the projects. I don't know if I can pick a favorite this week. I really had fun making all of them. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed. I post a new DIY every Wednesday. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye!